You're very welcome, and I appreciate the stipend they sent to me. I enjoyed it.
I know they sent me the bill as well. Yes.
Well, I hope you're doing well and all.
Thank
So,
you. Yes.
Great to see you.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to a great football season.
Yeah. Well, that being ranked number 2 in ACC, maybe we'll fire some people up even more so.
That's fake news. Don't worry about that. That's
Here, how are you?
Are you hiding?
I am hiding because I am driving from Tallahassee to Jacksonville. So I knew that this timeline, my face would not be shown, but my voice would be heard.
Are you going to pull over just in case? You shouldn't be driving and doing meetings. So.
No. Well, I have a designated driver called my husband,
Okay.
but
Okay, because we don't have insurance. Okay.
So. tell Rick we said hello and thank you. Thank him for giving you to us for an hour.
I will. So if you hear anybody screaming, you know what's happening, right?
Yeah. All right. So 3:00. Good afternoon and welcome to the Florida State University Board of Trustees meeting. Obviously, thanks to everybody for being here. I know we tend to be doing some of these impromptu board meetings a little bit more frequently, and Heather and Marissa and everybody knows that I'm not a giant fan of them, but sometimes we have to do what we have to do. I'm going to ask Heather to call the roll.
Thank you, Chairman. Trustee Alvarez.
Here.
Trustee Ballard.
Here.
Trustee Birmingham.
Here.
Chair Collins.
Here.
Trustee De Las Vegas Diaz.
Here.
Trustee Hitchcock.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Henderson.
Here.
Trustee Roth.
Here.
Trustee Sargent.
She's here. I see her.
Trustee Sargent. Yep. Vice
You're on
Chair.
mute. You're on mute, Deborah.
I'm here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sasser.
Here.
Trustee Thiel.
Here.
Trustee Weatherford.
Here.
Great. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you again. Next, we're going to hear public comments. I'd like to remind everyone to please limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes to give all those interested an opportunity to speak. Dennis, I don't know if we have any members of the public who wish to speak.
Mr. Chairman, we do not have any requests for public comment. We have about 9 members of the press here in 201 and a couple of university employees with us, and that's it. So no public comment today.
Okay, well, welcome everybody in 201. Next, I have to go over our ethics and conflict of interest statement. I begin our meeting with a reminder to board members about our ethics policy and obligations imposed by that policy in Florida law. Trustees are public officers of the state of Florida who are invested with the public trust and appointed as fiduciaries of the university. The Board of Trustees ethics policy that governs our conduct requires us to disclose any conflicts of interest present for any trustee's family member, or trustee's business associates, as those terms are defined by the policy. Having reviewed the agenda for today's meeting and having had the opportunity to consult with the General Counsel and the Ethics Officer about any potential, actual, or perceived conflict, does any trustee wish to disclose any matter that may impact his or her ability to discuss or vote on any agenda item? Okay, perfect. Next, we're going to move on to new business and updates, and we have 4 action items today. I'd like to ask Provost Clark and his team to introduce the first 2 action items on the agenda and go through them for our consideration. Provost Clark, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For this, because these legislative budget requests that I'm going to talk about are require BOT approval, and everything is on a break speed deadline these days. So you're making it possible for FSU to submit on time and a confirmed LBR request. And Mr. Chairman, if it's all right with you, I'll basically do this at a high level and then let you help me field questions or any concerns, if that's all right with you, sir.
Yeah, that sounds good. I know the trustees have seen parts of this. Obviously, we do a legislative budget request every year, but there's been a lot of meetings with the provosts.
You're listening to Seminole Sideline 365 live broadcast of the FSU Board of Trustees meeting, which has and could have significant developments later in this meeting. And we're trying to monitor this, and we'll give you the best audio videos we can from this, given some technical, some storms in the area.
For overall continuing our momentum and growing our national standing, these dollars are dedicated for hiring prominent research faculty, particularly in the STEM fields. It's also dedicated to building nation-leading student success, improving student success specifically for transfers, reducing the student to faculty ratio from 17-to-1 to 13-to-1, and recruiting and retaining top talent. And I'm going to scroll through quickly each of these as you've read through it, go into some detail about what these items are. But if you just want to break down on the 50 million, those are the breakdowns on STEM and National Academy members, top research faculty members, student support, more competitive, and scholarships for a total of 50 million. And these are the expected returns on investment, which if we were just to sum them up, is to continue our pursuit on top tier national standing and student success, as well as continuing substantial savings for Florida families. And finally, provide benefits, expanding the research university's research enterprise and research discoveries to create economic development in Florida. So that is for the first one.
It's recurring, right, Provost Clark?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Did you want me to stop and see if there are any questions on this first one?
Sure, we can do that. And as I just said, this is 50 million recurring that we're requesting. It's a little bit more than we requested last year in this particular part of the package. But, you know, we have big goals, and it takes money to accomplish those goals. So this is going to be our target. But I'm happy to open it up to the trustees and see if you have any questions on any of these particular categories here, or just the $50 million recurring revenue in general request. Okay. Provost Clark, keep going.
Okay. We'll go to the next one, which is for investing specifically in Florida State University Health. This is basically based on advice we've gotten from a lot of our supporters in the legislature about now that the flag is planted with initial investments for FSU Health, that we need to continuously come back and build on this very big initiative. So this $50 million request is focused on investing in operations and research infrastructure, retaining our top-ranked faculty, and you can see specifically the line items for the 50, very much focused toward FSU Health specifically.
this past year for FSU Health. But as I'm fond of saying, we bought a car, but now we got to have gas and we got to have people in it, and we got to get it down the road. And this is no small feat to start this process. So there's another 50 million separate ask recurring, right, Provost, for this.
That's correct. And we're building not only in Tallahassee, the Academic Health Center, but we're also designing and building for the Panhandle as well. So it's a very, as you eloquently said, this is a very, very big lift.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions on this part of FSU Health? We have a few items on the agenda today, but President, if you want to just briefly update everybody on the recent transformation committee that you attended and how that process is going.
Yeah, we had a wonderful trip to Northwest Florida, hosted by Trustee Gonzalez and the Transformation Committee, which is, of course, a group from Tallahassee Memorial Hospital and FSU senior people, community leaders met. We had really good discussions on.
Okay, you're listening to the live Board of Trustees meeting for Florida State, where we expect some significant news to come out of this meeting, perhaps a little bit later in the meeting under Section 4 of their agenda items, which is open forum. And we expect that to have some details of the future of Florida State sports and the Florida State University in potentially changing conferences and putting in an intent to depart from the ACC.
Request for the FAMU FSU Joint College of Engineering. As you know, this is a joint college with FAMU, and we have a wonderful new dean. He's been here a year, Dean Subranu Day, who is guiding us as we fund the college. Ultimately, we need to do a lot of work and a lot of investment to rank them on the top 100 public universities, helping FSU continue to rise in the ranking, but also the College of Engineering for FAMU is their very best strategy for becoming a Research One HBCU. So we have gotten support for.
Okay, right now the Board of Trustees is going over some academic issues which would affect Florida State University in terms of any application that they may make for the AAU application if they were to go to the Big Ten Conference. It is not a requirement for Florida State to be taken into the Big Ten Conference, but it is something that Florida State does want to achieve to become one of the finest academic universities in the country. The board is going to go through these action items, and then they're going to get to the open forum, where I expect there's going to be some talk about the departure from the ACC. I will be frankly surprised and somewhat disappointed if nothing like this comes up in this meeting. Now, we do have some storms in the area here, some lightning storms. So if we get knocked off the air, we apologize for that.
Well, and $3 million for startup costs to set up research labs for the new faculty that would be coming in.
You're listening
Then
to the
dollars
old
for
man here on
retention of
Seminole Sideline
faculty who are
365
proving exceptionally
as
productive in
we
research and
will
teaching.
try to monitor this
New staff
entire
support,
meeting as they go through their
retention
action
of
items,
exceptionally
hopefully leading
performing staff
to
members.
some issues
The
that
investment in
all
staff is crucial
viewers
because
on here are
when you
interested
hire
in, and that is the future of
retain
FSU
faculty, you
sports,
also need to have
future of
staff
FSU
that are
University
poised to
in
work
terms
closely
of
with them
what
to support
conference.
their
Will they
work
stay in the
and the work of the
ACC
college.
or will they seek a new home?
And Dean Day has also stipulated $100,000 for graduate student fellowships to aid degree completion and $150,000 to pay undergraduate peer tutors.
So we, for those of you trustees that did the tour with us that Dean Day did, you know, he has some pretty big plans for the growth of the engineering school, and we need that growth. As you know, we got the third building approved. We'll probably start construction on that in the next couple.
This is a powerful group of people, the Board of Trustees, because they hold a lot of power and influence over Florida State University in the direction it takes academically and athletically. They have a huge power over budgets and wield a lot of power in terms of influence of personnel.
It's a critical goal of the presidents and the provosts. Any questions on the engineering school for Dean Day or for Provost Clark or the president? Okay, keep going, Provost Clark.
Thank you. Basically, let me.
Think of this meeting as a corporate staff meeting. If anybody's out there worked at a large organization, worked in the corporate world, that this is a very high level corporate staff meeting where all types of decisions are being made.
Sorry about that. So this is a request for ERP funding.
The mission of the Board of Trustees is basically to protect Florida State University and to direct its future, to protect and ensure and further the growth both academically and for the student athlete and the sports at Florida State University moving into future years.
And ITS infrastructure. And so this request, $20 million, is to help us get there and create the infrastructures we need. So I'm trying to find the best page to lay some of that out for you.
Yeah, and I think this is also, this is an upgrade of all of our software. I mean, we haven't done a major software upgrade in probably 15 or 20 years. They're not supporting our software anymore. This is a number that the University of Florida is going to be asking for as well, this same number. I talked to their chair, and it's critical for the university to have a software platform that is reliable.
There's all kind of rumors circulating out there this week and today especially. I just saw a tweet came up, and they're suggesting that Florida State, again, will leave the ACC very soon, that Clemson, Florida State, and one other ACC team will likely jump out to the Big Ten. But again, this is rumor. This is speculation. I haven't seen any insider information coming out of FSU media to suggest anything has been done to date on a departure from the ACC.
Moving in, as you can tell from the previous parts of the LBR, we're bringing in cutting edge faculty, staff, and researchers. And we need to upgrade everything in order to get to the kind of research expenditures we're looking for at this university.
Anybody have any questions on this? I know VP Clark's certainly able to weigh in on that too. But it's like I said, this is going to be the initial piece, and this will be a big number for the legislature. Especially with us and the University of Florida asking it for it at the same time. We essentially run the same system, and we've essentially had it about the same amount of time. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, go on, Provost Clark.
I think that
So we need an action item on that?
That's right. We have a request for approval for action item 1.
Okay, so let's do this. The action item 1 is the legislative budget request, the entire legislative budget request that we just went through. And what we'll do is I'll take a motion and a second, and then we can have a discussion.
And if you're a viewer on here, and one of our subscribers, loyal followers, this is a great opportunity to see how the Board of Trustees actually operates and the types of items that they go through.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anybody want to talk or ask any questions about this piece of the agenda?
So Chairman, I work a lot, obviously, with VP Clark on the financial side, and I can tell you, our industry, our company, many like this, we've got to get to the next generation of technology to lead this university. This is the first step. So as you laid out, so it's a path we need to get on if we're going to stem, the hiring, the ability to find talent, to implement talent is so very, very important.
Well said. Else have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, is anybody opposed to the approval of action item number 1, the legislative budget request? Anybody opposed? All right, seeing none, it passes. Now we go to action item number 2, which the provost is also going to do. This is a request for approval of the linking industry to nursing education line.
Now remember, we're kind of focused on, or at least I'm focused on, item number 4 in the agenda, which is kind of the open forum. And if anything is going to come up, about intent to depart the ACC, it's going to come up in that agenda item in that open forum. And that open forum is going to be led by Peter Collins, who is the chairman of the Board of Trustees.
And as you might recall from last year, is intended to incentivize collaboration between nursing education programs and healthcare partners.
I'm monitoring our comment line. If you have any comments on your thoughts, whether you think something's going to happen today, whether an announcement will be made today, drop me a comment and let everybody else see what you're thinking on here. We've got a couple people on here, The Outsider. We've had Keith on here, and drop us a comment.
Yeah.
Hi, Chairman Collins. And
Hey, there you are.
yes, so basically we're submitting 2 of the line. One is Provost Clark just have gone through, and another one was Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare System. And this is a way from the state. As you all know, the state of Florida needs more nurses, and at FSU, we're doing our job to significantly increase our undergraduate program to meet such needs.
I'm not going to try to talk over this too much. I want you to have a real good idea how one of these trustee meetings goes through, the type of material, the stuff that they're talking about, and I will reserve my comments for later in the broadcast or when the meeting is actually over.
And this way we'll get the one-on-one matching from the state as well to support us in our growth.
So this is money that you've gone out and partnered with, or these are people that you've gone out and partnered with that have committed to giving to investing in this, and now we're asking the state for their match, right?
Yes.
Which is the
Yes.
absolute intent of this.
Yes, the state wants to incentivize the healthcare system to also play a part in the growth and growing the number of nurses in Florida in supporting colleges of nursing.
So I don't think there's anybody that's going to be opposed to free money. But if there are, you should just mute your microphone. But I don't think we need much explanation.
That's an interesting comment about, quote, free money, because really that's what the FSU football thing is all about. It's about money. It's about cash. It's about, we're getting screwed by the ACC and we need to go elsewhere.
Don't go forward with, or
So we are moving forward with the growth. I guess there are areas that we may not be able to grow as fast as we can, or have more dedicated faculty support. Like a lot of these are supporting student scholarships, so students can go to these healthcare systems and become their employee. So we are trying to create this innovative partnership with the healthcare systems. We are educating their future nurses so that they're willing to relieve the burden of our students on scholarship while they're in school, that the healthcare systems are contributing full tuition.
The School of Nursing is one of the best in the country. They were in full operation when I was at Florida State as an undergraduate in 1970. And it was very tough to get into in those days. I assume so today.
These proposals, we know you've been out working really, really hard, and we appreciate it on behalf of the school, and what you've done and how many students you've added over the last couple of years is amazing, and we're all in 100% support of our nursing program at FSU, and keep it up. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Chairman Collins. Thank you for all the Board of Trustees support, Provost Clark and President McCullough for all of your support for our growth. So thank you so much.
Provost, so we just need to approve this, to send it to the BOG, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve agenda item number 2?
so move, John Thiel.
Second.
We'll take, I got you, Trustee Birmingham. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions? Anybody having questions of?
This could be a very significant meeting in the history of Florida State University. And I will be surprised if the intent to depart the ACC is not mentioned or brought up.
Action item number 3, request for approval of creation of a direct support organization. I'm going to turn this over to General Counsel Egan for her to introduce this to the trustees.
Thank you. One of the things I love about this job is I get to learn all kinds of things about all kinds of areas of law that I'm not an expert in. So I've spent the last few months learning a lot about aviation law in preparation for this project. It might make more sense, Chairman, if we had the punchline first about, but that's not really my role, but the purchase of an aircraft. So I've become an expert in the course of this on Part 91 and ways to operate aircraft between parent companies, subsidiary companies, sister organizations, and the restrictions by the FAA on reimbursement for those business-related flights, and how that can work in terms of ownership and usage and whatnot. Then also there are liability questions, lots of complicated decisions to make when you are a plane owner and operator, as you know.
Well, it appears that Florida State is thinking about having a private aircraft owned and operated by Florida State University. I don't think it's about sports teams with that large of an aircraft, which is chartered out, but that this could be about official travel.
Usage of an aircraft, we would ask the board to create a direct support organization. FSU Transportation is the name that we proposed. You have in your materials proposed articles of incorporation.
This is actually a very interesting proposal that FSU would have their own private travel. I don't know who that would cover.
Yeah, so in an effort not to bury the lead, as Carolyn said, we've talked about this in some of our past meetings. We've had a pretty good study going on for a little while now, and there's a lot of other universities in the state of Florida that own their own aircraft rather than charter, and the boosters want to do that. They believe it's going to save them money in the long run. I think it's something, certainly since the pandemic, charter rates and everything have gone sky.
Yeah, this is a very interesting move by the Board of Trustees to look into and get their own private transportation assigned to Florida State University.
We need to have the DSO to hold them. So that's what this is. Everybody got this in the packet. Anybody have any questions about the DSO or the need for the DSO or why we're doing this? Okay. I will take a motion to approve action item number 3, the creation of the direct support organization for FSU transportation.
So moved. Drew Weatherford.
Second.
Second, John Peel.
Okay. Okay. Discussion. Anybody have any questions, comments? All right. Seeing none. Anybody opposed to the creation of the DSO? Okay. Show it approved. Thank you, General Counsel Egan. Action item number 4. We're going to bring in VP Clark for this. Senior VP Clark. I always forget to now add Senior VP Clark. I call him Chancellor of the Exchequer.
That's because his birthday was yesterday. We now call him senior.
The request for approval of Seminole Boosters Inc. loan. You're on mute.
The next item up is a loan by the Seminole Boosters.
On a special called meeting, we didn't want to miss the opportunity to add some additional items, so we appreciate the board's consideration. As the Board of Trustees knows, over the past several months, the university has been working with the Seminole Boosters team to identify potential aircraft and a structure for an aviation operation. Without a private aircraft, it has grown more and more difficult to accomplish the business needs of Florida State University, the Seminole Boosters, and Florida State University athletics. As the chairman mentioned, many of our peers who are major research university and institutions who compete in the Power 5 conferences all have their own aviation operations, including several of our peers within the state university system of Florida. To that end, I've asked Michael Williams from my team to work with the Seminole Boosters to review financing operations and options for aircraft. The boosters have obtained several proposals from financial institutions and are currently considering multiple options. Both of the options that are being considered are compliant with the Board of Governors debt financing guidelines, which is obviously very important. The first option that I wanted to share with the Board of Trustees today is a money market-based loan that would essentially charge 1% interest above the index rate. The boosters would be required to invest the loan value in a money market fund, and then the lender would provide a loan for that dollar amount at a very attractive rate
So this seems to be about one or two airplanes for the boosters to transport them to wherever the heck they need to go. It doesn't seem to be talking about team planes. Most of the team flying is all done by charter aircrafts.
around $3 million or so. The second option could be for a more traditional financing structure. It would be a fixed rate loan. And in this example, we've used $3 million as just an example. But the second option would be the more traditional, as I mentioned, and the rate would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.79 to 6.95 based on the current proposals that the boosters are evaluating. They're going to continue their evaluations and negotiations, and that
If you're new to our channel, we appreciate you being here. Please hit that like and subscribe buttons for us. We'd love to have you as part of our family here at Seminole Sideline 365, and you can help us get the word out by hitting that like, thumbs up button as well. Thank you.
Board of Trustees to approve the Seminole Boosters Inc. to purchase up to 2 aircraft with a combined purchase price not to exceed $9 million It is subject to the Seminole Boosters Inc. full board approval that we expect by mid-August. The financing will be in compliance with the Board of
Okay, they're talking about 2 aircraft, not to exceed a price of $9 million for the purchase of the 2 aircraft. So we're not talking about team aircraft.
Claire and Mr. Williams are all here today, and any of us would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so let's see if anybody has any questions. Anybody have any questions about this? I know like I said, we've talked about it at a couple of the other meetings. You all had it in the packet. Some of you had a chance to talk to VP Clark. Anything you want to add to that, add to this, Trustee Henderson?
No, I think communication obviously identified a very low-cost option to acquire the aircraft, and I just add, certainly as a utilizer, what this enables us to do the things that we can't otherwise do, frankly. There are opportunities, costs that are foregone because we can't get in front of someone to get something done. So that's about the background on it with this. I know Senior VP Clark and others have done.
Now, one thing about aircraft is not only the purchase, it's like buying a boat. Okay, you have to have operators, you have to have pilots. Are they gonna contract pilots? And then you have the constant maintenance on 2 aircraft as well as storage. So there are more money issues besides the initial costs. Very interesting item, though.
Some of our trustees, and so really gone through this process very thoroughly and covered the aspects really protect the university.
Great. Anybody else have any-
Chairman Collins, it's John
Yes.
Thiel. I have one question.
Yes.
So it's two planes for the boosters, and then isn't there the universities also purchasing a plane?
So
Yes,
the
I'm
way that
confused.
it's a good question. The way that it's going to work is there's going to be a charge to whichever entity of the university is utilizing the plane for a specific trip. There will be an hourly rate assigned at the booster level, so the boosters would say be reimbursed if to use the plane one day or something like that. But yeah, the boosters will operate that, and there'll be a charge on an hourly basis to whichever entity uses it.
And that charge will fit under the guidelines of
Yeah,
Part
so
91?
yeah,
I mean,
we'll just do a dry lease, but between the DSO and the other entities, and it'd be a dry lease. Carolyn, do you want to comment on that?
I do. There's a very narrow exception within Part 91, which doesn't allow for commercial usage of planes operating under Part 91, but between parent and subsidiary companies, there is a narrow exception. So our goal is to fit right into that narrow exception, I hope. Still working on the details.
And Chairman,
So
and Mr. Thiel, that's the way our peers have it set up. We've had a lot of conversations with some of our peers and about best practices and the way that they have it set up. And that is in fact the way that they have it set up.
just a quick question. I'm sorry, just to clarify, and Carolyn, I'm happy to talk to you about it after, but parent and subsidiary, so are we saying the booster will own it and we will lease it, and that's going to be okay from a parent subsidiary perspective?
The boosters will, I presume, continue to own it, and the parent subsidiary goes several directions, and it allows for sister corporations for use
Okay.
as well. Sister corporations are specifically mentioned if they're tied to the same parent corporation.
Okay, just making sure.
Thank you.
Trustee Alvarez?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I didn't think that it was possible to buy 2 aircraft for $9 million. What kind of aircraft are these?
So the first one is a smaller plane. It's a 6-seater. It's a CJ2 a Citation. We haven't found the second plane yet, but we're not buying brand new planes either. They're going to be low hours, but we're not buying brand new planes that depreciate.
I thought that was a good question. The guy asked, one of the Board of Trustees asked, what kind of planes are you getting for $9 million? They tied together with glue and rubber bands, or it sounds like they may be used instead of new, and small aircraft.
That's as far as I'm concerned, because I cannot imagine 2 aircrafts for $9 million, but especially the way the prices of airplanes have gone up today.
Well, you got to fly with us more, Max. Then maybe you can appreciate it.
Well, okay, good luck. And I need to talk to that.
One Board of Trustees appears concerned about flying on these aircraft, 2 which cost $9 million, which is a low amount for an airplane. So there's a lot of chuckling going on about transportation.
To approve the purchase.
Don't move.
Okay, Trustee Alvarez, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second, Trustee Sasser. Any other comments or questions? Anybody opposed to the approval of this for the boosters? Okay, show it as passed. Usually when we have our trustee meeting, we start with the message from the president. Because this is an impromptu, we put him at the end. So, Mr. President, welcome.
I think this is the point where the significant issue is going to come up.
But we've been going through, the president's been going through his evaluation process, and I think everybody on here, if they could put 3 thumbs up in the air for what you're doing, they would. But I look forward to going over that evaluation with you soon. But welcome, and interested in any thoughts or comments or anything that you'd like to discuss.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, board members, for
President of the University, Florida State University,
and some of the things that we discussed today. I want to take the opportunity, given that we have members of the press here today, to say a couple of bullet points about Florida State University in general. We are a university on the rise. We've gone up 25 places in the rankings recently, top 20 university. We've improved on pretty much every metric that you could ever imagine in the last 2 years under my presidency. Our freshman retention rate is among the best in the country. We have the same graduation rate for students, whether you come from privileged.
My hair is starting to stand up on the back of my neck. I think we're getting closer to an announcement.
We are leading the country in student success. We have one of the lowest costs, one of the lowest debt for our students, providing access to the university as a first generations.
Tune up your volumes.
It's our first generation. So we're a very special university in many ways. In athletics, we also have an amazing university. Our goal, as I always tell A.D. Alford, is to win a championship in every single sport. And we're investing in that way. And that is our goal from our football team, who were 10-3 last year, and to women's basketball, who were a couple injuries away from going deep into the tournament, to women's softball, who were in the national championship, and women's soccer, who were in the College Cup, as a couple of good examples. This year we have a lot of optimism about our amazing football team. We have a great coach, great returning group of people, student athletes, and we couldn't be more excited by that. Our Florida State University fans are among the best in the country. I don't remember the exact number. A.D. Alford will correct me. 60% or 65% of our fans travel over 300 miles to watch a home game, every home game. That's absolutely incredible. Our viewership from 2012 to 22, we had 25 regular season games with over 4 million viewers, which is a hallmark in the media rights industry. And we're 12th in the nation in terms of the average regular season viewership. We have an average viewership of 3.2 million viewers on average. We're one of the best media valued teams in the United States. We, in many ways, along with, I'll just say Clemson and others, but help to carry the value of the media rights in the ACC. No offense to my colleagues, but that's just the numbers. And that's because we have some of the greatest fans in the entire world in the storied tradition of Florida State University. We currently, as you all know, face a very difficult situation. We are seeing large media deals that have been made with places like the Big Ten and the SEC, which in many ways are creating, maybe it's an exaggeration, but an existential crisis perhaps for Florida State University, as we will be $30 million per school per year behind in our gap in conference distribution with our contractual with contracts that are said to go through 2036. So this current situation presents a very difficult situation for us because we are investing in things like football. Football, basketball bring in the most revenue, which actually supports all the rest of the sports. Without increasing revenue, we will face major challenges in being able to compete in football. As you know, the landscape is changing dramatically with our ability to compete in NIL, coaching salaries, and attractive facilities to continue to build our brand and be competitive. And by the way, the waterfall revenue falls down to support things like women's soccer and women's softball. So our Title IX sports will be and could be completely affected in a very dramatic way. We, of course, are not satisfied with our current situation. We love the ACC. We love our partners at ESPN. Our goal would be to continue to stay in the ACC, but staying in the ACC under the current situation is hard for us to figure out how we remain competitive unless there were a major change in the revenue distribution within the conference, in the ACC conference itself. That has not happened. We have those discussions, are ongoing at all times, and continue to explore that situation. FSU helps to drive value, and will drive value for any partner. And but we have spent a year trying to understand how we might fix the issue. There are no easy fixes to this problem, this challenge, but we, a group of us, many of us have spent literally a year. Chairman Collins, you can ask Chairman Collins, he'll tell you it's been a year that we've spent on this. And we've explored every possible option that you could imagine, because all options are on the table, as AD Offer has said many, many times to the press and to the ACC. And we continue to explore all of those options. The issue at hand is, you know, what can we do to allow ourselves to be competitive in football and get what I think, you know, selfishly, is the revenue that we deserve in our media situation. I think this continues to be a very difficult issue. There's a lot going on in the world of conference realignment, with the PAC deal imminent, and lots of things are going on. I would have to say that my current assessment of the situation after very deep analysis is that I believe that FSU will have to, at some point, consider very seriously leaving the ACC unless there were a radical change to the revenue distribution. I don't think this is anything that anybody hasn't necessarily thought of, but I wanted to make that statement to the board, and happy to discuss it with you in this forum and answer any questions that you might have. Maybe I'll just ask A.D. Alford if there's anything that you think I may have not said that would be important at this juncture, or anything you want to add quickly before we open it up for questions.
A.D. Alford?
No, sir. I think you've stated the facts and gave the conversations that we've had over the last year of evaluating all of our options. And the only thing I would add is this how deep we have gone into the research and with partners that we have gone out and spoken with to get all the facts, figures of all of our options, and have really evaluated them to our best.
Chairman College, that is my report, and happy.
Well, there you have it. The president of Florida State University was nicely stating that without some major and significant redistribution of the wealth from the ACC to Florida State, that Florida State will have to consider leaving the ACC, quote, leaving the ACC in the near future.
Well, the question I had is actually a question that you answered. So my line of questioning will probably...
This is Drew Weatherford, former Florida State quarterback.
To the president, to the chairman, and the rest of the board. Simple question, fundamental question. Do we want to play games moving forward, or do we want to compete? It's a really simple question, and I think I know the answer from the board. And, you know, I thought the president did a really good job of laying out the state of play that we're currently in. But I've thought about this a lot as an ex-player, as now a Board of Trustee member. And the simple fact is the cost of playing at the highest level is outpacing the ACC's ability to compete on a regular basis. I mean, it just is. And if you go back and look at how many wins ACC schools have had in the college football playoff, right? Who other than Clemson has had, you know, meaningful wins, right? I mean, it's not like we have to look into the future to be concerned. We're living in the present, and there's reasons to be concerned about our ability to compete year in and year out. And on, you know, and some of those costs are really interesting that may not be apparent, but cost of NIL is a negative 10 to 15% outside of the athletic department, right? Money's going to be flowing outside of athletics into collectives. Coaches' salaries have increased almost 10% year over year for a decade. A.D. Alford, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 15% last year.
Yes, sir.
The cost of facilities, what it cost Clemson to build their football-only facility a few years ago is going to cost 30 to 40% more.
The board of trustees now, Drew Weatherford, former quarterback at FSU, who have already been briefed on these arguments, are now weighing in their support, which will basically say Florida State is leaving the ACC. We don't know the exact date, but the question is, if by August the 15th they don't push forth the intent to depart, they're going to have to wait another 22 months.
And UCLA are in the Pac-12. And, you know, the president threw out the $30 million number. That's a big number, but multiply that by 13 years. We're talking about over $400 million difference between what we're going, the deficit between us and the school down the road, not to mention a bunch of schools north of us, right? We're surrounded by schools that are going to have a $400 million advantage. And that's $400 million they're going to be able to invest into all of their athletic programs. Not to mention, it's $400 million they don't have to go out and raise, right, from their boosters. Which, the way, if you play this out, that's $400 million that's technically, I'm not saying it's all going to end up in the collective, but $400 million that they're not taking from their booster base and their alumni base, that technically, let's say 10% of that falls into the collective. That's a big number. That's going to be a really, really difficult thing to overcome. And I do think it's an existential threat. I'll use myself as an example, just to like play this out from a narrative standpoint. I was the most diehard FSU guy in the world growing up. Coach Bowden came and spoke at my church when I was a kid. I told everybody in the neighborhood for 10 years that's what I was going to go do. I got offered. I didn't take any official visits. I committed early, started recruiting, and went. If all of a sudden some other school offered me $1 million to go play there, unfortunately, I wouldn't have been a Seminole, right? And honestly, I don't think anyone, if it was $100,000 or $50,000, it'd be one thing. But we're talking about, 6 figures, in some case, 7-figure deals to go play. And that's what we're up against. You can have a kid just like me today, and there's going to be a school, many, many schools, almost 40 to be exact, that are going to have way more resources than us. And so I do think it's an existential threat. And this is just one board member speaking. Unless something drastic changes on the revenue side at the ACC, it's not a matter of if we leave. In my opinion, it's a matter of how and when we leave, and not everyone may agree with that, but I feel really strongly about it because I don't want to play games. I want to go.
Okay, everything is breaking on Twitter and other social media now. The statement from FSU President Richard McCullough: we are not satisfied with our current situation.
So I apologize for the long diatribe, but obviously I feel passionate about this and agree wholeheartedly with your comments, Mr. President.
Anybody else have any comments?
Peter.
Yes. Trustee De Las Cuevas Diaz.
Peter, can you hear me?
Yes.
So hard to follow Drew, but I'll try. I don't disagree with Drew. I guess obviously learning from a different angle and maybe with the legal hat, it's just one side of me just doesn't understand how the ACC doesn't get the risk of us having to do what we don't want to do, in my opinion. No, I don't think anybody at this table wants to be in this position to have to take the decision to go where we have to go. And then the other thing I do want to say is we all know I love football, but we all love our sports. So this is not a football decision. This is an athletic decision. And as much as it would hurt football, it would hurt all of our athletes. As much as our men, it would hurt our women. And, our women have been incredible, particularly always in these last few years, and we would hurt them. And as we all know, I think the other piece to this that has been very interesting to me is that we're also competing always from a state school disadvantage. And what do I mean by that? We are capped. As much as we have great legislatures and as much as they give us the money that they can, we compete with private schools that have huge budgets. So we have those pockets that we can't even compete with, and yet we do an amazing job. So facilities, as expensive as Drew's saying, to just build new facilities, it's just as expensive to maintain what we have. And we know we have facilities that we even have to start from scratch. So having this deficit, although is huge because of what we're talking about, but we are also looking at things that are just astronomical to begin with to keep our athletic facilities at par without doing anything major. To me, it's just sad to have this conversation. And then part of it is as a fiduciary to this university. It's how do we do this eloquently, properly, and
Legally.
ensure that we
And legally, and best financially.
work. We just have to make sure we do what's right by this university.
Thank you, Trustee De Las Cuevas Diaz. Appreciate it. Trustee Alvarez.
I'll make it very quick. Sports is no longer an extracurricular activity at the university level. It's big business. So if you want to participate in big business, you need to
I
invest.
don't want to
accordingly.
reboot.
So we need to do whatever is necessary. First of all, we need to make the decision, we want to be in this business or not. And if we decide to be in this business, then we have to proceed accordingly. That we have to face it. This is big investments, and that's what it requires. So if we don't do that, then we'll just make the decision that we're not in it. But this is big business. It's no longer a sport. It has nothing to do with the game. This is a big business, and this is an investment. So I have nothing further to say, just something simple.
Trustee Sargent.
Yes, I think that we should really just believe in ourselves and our team and our coach and our program. I think we were all a little skeptical and shell-shocked in the beginning, but we have seen proof of the system that we have. It's a great one. And as much as we would hate to make these types of decisions, it's with sadness that we do. We don't want to have to do that, but we also have to we have to keep our lifeline going. And so we have to do what we have to do, but it would be with, very humbly in a way that we don't want to have to do this, but we have to do what it takes to compete.
Thank you.
I think we just need to believe in ourselves and what we have. If this is a game of chicken, I hope it's not. But I think we have a great team and a great program, and it's resilient because of the attitude of the coach, Coach Norvell. All hats off to him. And we just need to make the decisions we have to make that are best. Put the mask on ourselves.
Thank you. Trustee Roth.
Thanks, Chairman. And thank you, and thank you to President McCullough and ADL for you guys have, over this last year, done an amazing job of both identifying the problem and really tackling this head on and trying to fix the problem both internally in the ACC and exploring other options. And I know it's been a lot of work, and I, for one, and I think a lot of people on the board, and probably you guys as well, would have liked to seen a solution already under the current framework of the ACC. But I think as time has gone on, it seems more and more likely that a solution under the current TV deal and within the ACC is probably very unlikely. And so it kind of leads us to what's next. And, as President McCullough said, there is no perfect answer and there is no perfect solution here. And I think we would all love if every single planet aligned perfectly, and tomorrow our TV contract ended and all 3 conferences or 4 conferences were offering us a deal and we could figure out what we want to do. But no matter what we do, that timing's not gonna line up. And so I think for us, the alternative of just staying in this conference for the next 13 years and trying to wait for that perfect alignment of the stars is the equivalent of a death by 1,000 cuts.
Wow.
And each cut is a $30 million cut over the next 13 years. And it's one thing to take a $30 million cut last year. It's another to take another one this year. But
there you go. That's what the President McCullough wanted to say, but he's in a position where he can't. And now the boosters are bringing out the heavy hitters and the heavy hitting language
of trying to get the absolute perfect deal is going to get tougher and tougher, and just waiting is not the answer. I got to be honest with you, I think it's not just applying to us, but the ACC as a whole. If the entire conference for the next 13 years, every single one of those schools is taking this same hit for the next 13 years, when the next TV contract comes up, we will be a third-rate conference at that point. And so waiting this out and hoping that we get another contract that's good in 13 years, whether it's us or one of the other schools in the ACC is crazy. It's just not going to be there. And so I know we're running into a deadline of August 15th. I think it would be ideal if we could come up with something before that. Probably unlikely. I don't know. I don't know the details, but I don't think it's unrealistic for us to say as a goal for this board and you, President McCullough, and AD Alfred, that if we don't have something now, that within the next 12 months, we have an exit plan and we execute on it. Whether it's the perfect solution or plan B or plan C, but I think our goal as a university should be to figure out how we exit this TV deal that we currently have in the next 12 months.
Thank you. Trustee Sasser?
Yeah, everyone said all the things that I could think to say, but the president laid it out right in the beginning very well, and others have shared the same thoughts. We've been talking about this for a year, Peter, and we haven't made any progress. And I think we just have to assume that it's the next move's in our court. Basically, Trustee Roth said it very well. We need a plan to do it, but it's not. We're $30 million a year at a disadvantage against the SEC and the Big Ten. We've done a tremendous job with great administration, terrific coaches, great athletic department. I think other than the $30 million shortfall from the ACC, we're doing pretty well on the other revenue parts of our sport. So it's not a downfall on FSU and Seminole boosters and alumni and fans and the administration. It's the $30 million bad deal that we've got another 13 years on. So we have to get out of that deal. I agree with Trustee Roth too. The other universities probably ought to be thinking the same way. I want to compete at the highest level, Trustee Weatherford.
Okay, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind after listening to the Board of Trustees that Florida State is now seeking the quickest way out of the ACC. There is no future for FSU, and they're all stating that. They've all lined up. These opinions were made prior to the meeting. They all got the memo, and Florida State will be leaving the ACC.
Thoughts on it, Mr. President? Thanks for laying it out that way. I think everyone has the right thoughts on this, and we know where we are. We've been talking about it for a year, and we need to do something different. It's not going to change otherwise. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just one quick thing, Mr. Chairman. This is
Go ahead, Trustee Gonzalez.
As trustees, we're fiduciaries of the university, first and foremost, which really means we have to do what's in the best interest of the university. To me, it's not personal towards the ACC. It's not personal towards any of the sister universities in the conference, but we have a major math problem. It's not a subjective assessment. It's a major math problem. And that problem really affects our student athletes and our coaches the most, who work so hard at representing us. So from my perspective, 100% support the president and the AD in terms of us pursuing all options. From my perspective, 100% support that perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes, I think so many really great things said. But if you look at the fiduciary responsibility mentioned, the fact that Title IX kind of goes out the door to FSU. If you look at our national championships in soccer and softball and our non-revenue sports that Michael and others have built up so well, they're going to be the first in the way of trying to deal with a budget that would not enable those sports to exist. So this is not just our revenue sports. It's our entire athletic program. It goes without saying, but I think in terms of soliciting views and looking at this initiative, it's broader than the revenue sport.
I agree with that.
Chairman Collins, it's John Thiel. I would just add one thing. We built the legacy. We've earned the right. Our media presence, our ability to put eyeballs on games and create unique experiences nationwide, not just in the state of Florida, It's just we've earned the right. So we would all, again, as a fiduciary, we would be falling down our job if we didn't capitalize on the legacy that was built by so many before us.
Well said.
Well said.
As you know, the president and AD Alford have been working on this every single day. We're probably going to come back to you pretty soon with some more conversation on this. It's tough in the public environment. We got a room full of people there. I'm sure there's a bunch of people on the simulcast. You wouldn't, it'd be tough to run any other kind of company like this. But we're gonna. So I know I can't update you all as much as possible, but AD Alford can, and the president can, and we stay within the sunshine. But I'm personally, and I said this last night in some comments that I made, I am personally really proud of AD Alford and the president for the work that they put in this last year, and haven't wavered a bit in making sure that Florida State was, the most important thing to take care of. And, we've taken some hits on that. We've taken some hits from some of our sister institutions and brother institutions in the ACC and other people. I don't know what they want us to do though. We got, we got to fight for ourselves. And I thought, I thought you put it great, Trustee Weatherford. I think that we don't want to play games. We want to compete. We can compete. We are competing. But when the gap gets that big, as I said before, it's insurmountable. I think I said at the last meeting in February, I said it's almost impossible. And AD Alford said it's impossible. And he wasn't wrong. And so they're focused on it, and I'm focused on it with them. And I appreciate everybody's comments. I appreciate the thoughts on the university and what we want to do. And I think that there's pretty clear alignment between the AD and the board and the president on this. And so we're working hard on it, as you know, and we'll be back to you. Could be sooner rather than later.
Mr. Chairman, may I make one more
Yes,
comment?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut it off, but I was going to give you and AD Alford a last shot here.
No, it was perfect timing. Thank you. I just want to pick up on one of the points that was made by Trustee Sasser. I don't know if this board knows it or not, but the booster organization is one of the best fundraising booster organizations in the entire country. It's a model. As we go around to other universities, we hear about them emulating what we've done, and what AD Alford and Stephen Ponder built up in the team is really truly amazing. And I could show you a list of universities that are football powerhouses, and we way outraise them in terms of what the boosters contribute. So in the last 12 years, this year, the boosters raised more money in the history, since we've been keeping track of it in the last 12 years. There was one year that when Michael was in charge of it, that's just a couple $1 million less, very close. So I don't want to take that away from you, but they had a record year. So it's not like, to Trustee Sasser's point, which is a really important one, it's not like they're raising $10 million a year. And then we have 70 million that we're leaving on the table. They raised $77.7 million this year, which is incredible. And so, I think maybe we can do more, but it's not like we're going to be able to raise an extra $60 million on top of that. So it's a great point by you, Trustee Sasser. I think that's important. And one of the reasons it's so important is because, like you said, it's not like we're leaving a lot of money on the table here that we can just go after. And the things that we the opportunities that we have to make more revenue for athletics, we're all over that, and have a plan. So we're working on that as well. But first, thank you all very much to the trustees for all your comments. I really appreciate it, and thank you for all of your support. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to make a few more comments.
Great. Thanks, Mr. President. A.D. Alford, you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I really want to, thank you, Chairman. I really want to point out and tell you how much I appreciate the comments that were made, but truly appreciate the recognition of the other 19 sports, the other 18 sports, our female athletes, because we pride ourselves in having the very best resources, providing the very best student athlete experience that we possibly can. That we're here in an educational mission to guide these students to perform in the classroom, to perform in their sports, to go out and perform in the community and represent us well, and really guide them so when they go back to their hometowns, they're going to be great citizens and have that learning experience, because this is the most impressionable time of their lives. That's why they're in college. And without those resources to provide these opportunities for them, we would be failing in our mission. And I just want to really thank the board for pointing that out, for recognizing how important that is for all of our sports, that we're able to provide these winning edge resources to them in life. And with that, it comes with financial responsibility that we need to provide.
Great. I appreciate the comments. Anybody else before we move on from this? Like I said, we'll be back to you perhaps sooner rather than later, but we'll be back to you soon. I'm going to just open it up to the trustees. Anybody have anything else that they want to talk about? Anything you want to, anything bothering you? Anything that you didn't feel like got said today? Okay. Before we adjourn, here's a list of upcoming dates. Obviously, Labor Day weekend, FSU, LSU. It's a Board of Trustees away game, so you guys have all gotten packets from Heather on that. We're all looking forward to it. I know I am. Our next regular in-person meeting is going to be Thursday and Friday, September 7th and 8th. That's the Southern Miss game weekend. We'll meet on Friday, November 10th, and in Tallahassee. It's a one-day. We'll do a one-day meeting like we did before, and that's the Miami game. The reason why we were going to do one day is it's I think that's Veterans Day, and the university's closed, and so it's difficult to get a couple days there. But we needed to have the meeting for different reasons. The Board of Governors Trustee Summit and BOG meeting will take place November 8th and 9th on.
Okay, I think at this point, FSU has clearly indicated, to me at least, and I think to many of you who are on this live stream here with Seminole Sidelines 365, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. Please hit that like button for us. You really help us by doing that. But I think it's very clear to me and many others that Florida State is outbound. They are outbound from the ACC, and now it's a matter of official paperwork and to take place. There is zero chance they're going to be staying in the ACC, in my opinion, and I feel very strong, 100% on that.
There, and we'll be back to you probably at the next meeting. We'll have a little bit more detail. Thanks to the staff for preparing our.
I want to apologize again for my camera freeze, but I didn't want to reboot during this important meeting. This has been a very interesting and very historical meeting that will shape the future of Florida State University, its students, its academics, and obviously its athletics. So it's been a worthwhile experience.
Time that everybody puts into it. There's a lot at stake. And we're all Noles, and we want the best for the university. And I just appreciate the passion, and I appreciate the effort that you all bring to it every day. But if there's nothing further, then we will adjourn the meeting, and we'll see you at LSU. Thank you.
Okay. The meeting has been adjourned. I can feel very safe to say, and we on Seminole Sidelines 365 will have a lot more to talk about on this, but I feel very safe to say that the Florida State Seminoles and Florida State University are seeking a new home. They put up a for sale sign, and they've notified their realtor at the ACC that we will be leaving. And obviously KB and myself will be talking more about this issue. It could be very soon. We'll let you all know. But we appreciate everybody joining us on this live stream. And if you like the live stream, please let us know, and we'll be glad to do some of this more in the future. Again, I apologize for my camera freeze, but I didn't want to reboot during this important segment and the discussion. The discussion about the departure came exactly when we said it would. If you look back at our video that we just put up, I think it was last night, I've lost track of things, we put up yesterday, we talked about where this would come up. And obviously, this was a well-orchestrated meeting where everybody got the memo prior to the meeting here today, and they stuck to their roles. It was very smooth. It was very professional. The press was there to record the moments, and I believe they would have given the commissioner of the ACC a heads up of what was coming. That's the professional way to do it, and they played it out truly professional. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I want to thank everybody again, and this has been a very fascinating meeting, and if more of these meetings come up, we will likely try to do live broadcasts if one of us is available to do that. Thanks again. This is Seminole Sideline 365. You've been listening to Bruce the Old Man. You can join me back on Twitter, and we appreciate all of our viewers, supporters. Hit that like button and hit that share button, and please subscribe if you're here just for the first time. Okay, that's it. Seminole Sideline 365. Florida State, not long for the ACC. They're looking now. They've given their announcement to get out of the ACC. Good night, safe travels, and be careful out there. Bye-bye.